Hey guys, Redder31 Lane here again. I'm going to talk today a little bit about shotguns for home defense. Got some good feedback after we did the stopping power video, so we're going to do another video of a similar style. So up front it needs to be said as a disclaimer, I am not anti-shotgun. I'm a fan of shotguns provided that they're utilized in a smart way and that people have some facts. So we're going to go over some of that stuff right now. So first thing we need to get out of the way here is the bum scoop. The shotgun might be one of the most mythicized incorrectly, of all the weapons that are out there. And the one that pisses me off the most is the whole, and everybody's heard this before, you might have even been the one that said it before, or the whole, well, if I hear somebody in my house at night and they're breaking in, I'll grab the shotgun, and then when I rack it, they'll run just from the sound. And I always hear that, I'm like, so your home defense plan is the noise. Like a rape whistle? No means no. Okay. If that's your idea, that sounds good, but it's a fucked up one, and it's totally wrong. Sound is not going to scare the guy away, and frankly, if your home defense plan involves an unloaded gun, you already have some problems. An unloaded gun might as well be a baseball bat. So, don't do that. The other main issue when it comes to bum scoop is going to be the use of buckshot and the actual performance of a buckshot round. Everybody has a vision in their head that they've seen in movies a million times of a guy who's got a shotgun. Usually it's a sawed-off, he's got an 8-inch barrel or some asinine crap like that, leans it out the window, and he shoots down an alley, and all he gets is a 10-foot by 10-foot swath of destruction going all the way down there like some sort of frickin' death ray. And that's not how shotguns work. And frankly, as a fan of shotguns, it does a disservice to have some sort of stupid idea about them like that. All right, so the shotgun, all right, we got some good pros and cons here, our not-so-cools and our cools. So, one, we're talking about the not-so-cools with the shotgun. The one that is the most apparent is going to be that they are unwieldy. Shotguns of the tactical variety, anything with a full stock, is long and hard to use in close quarters. I don't care who you are or what opinion that you've had before. If you try to use one inside of a house, they're very difficult compared to a lot of good fighting carbines and especially handguns. And so there's always going to be someone that says, well, that's why, I have a stock on my shotgun that's just pistol grip only, no actual shoulder stock. And say, well, it is going to make it a little bit easier to maneuver in close quarters, but it makes it unwieldy in the aspect that you have no recoil management whatsoever. Even as somebody who has a lot of experience shooting shotguns and owns a pistol grip style stock on one of my shotguns, it is extremely difficult to handle, and it's not very accurate. The only ways you can be accurate is to put it in, close to your eye and actually aim down using the bead sight on the front of there. And if you do that, you're absolutely going to take a hit from the shotgun in the face, especially with the slug or a buckshot round is going to hit you hard. Or if you hold a little bit lower, your accuracy is going to suffer. All right, so that leads us into our next one, which is the recoil. All right, I'm not saying the recoil is not manageable with a shotgun, because it is. Anyone that hunts knows that. But compared to an AR and AK, most carbines that people have ever fired, handguns, the shotgun has a very nasty recoil, and it's tough to handle shot for shot, especially if you do not have a lot of training with it. If you're a woman or if you're a person of smaller stature, that's why they make youth model shotguns. Because a lot of people, they just cannot handle a full-size shotgun. It's going to hit you hard. That's why a shotgun hits hard on the business end, is because it also hits you hard on the shoulder. All right? And kind of going along with that is the fact that a shotgun is a two-handed weapon. Now you're going to say, oh, well, so is AR and AK. Yes, I know. But in a home defense scenario, we're thinking, okay, you may need to use a phone, call 911. You may need to move wife and kids, roommates, things like that out of the way. You may need to grab your dog, get them out of the way. You may need to open doors and things like that. And operating any weapon that is a two-handed weapon with one hand is very difficult, and a shotgun is even more so. Everything gets exacerbated. So if you're actually pulling the trigger, you can fire a shotgun one-handed, and you can hit the target, but you have no recoil management whatsoever, so it becomes very difficult. So our last not-so-cool I didn't leave up here that kind of goes along with the others that we need to talk about is, especially when we talk about buckshot, and kind of talked about that with the bum scoop, your average spread of a pattern, regardless of what kind of actual pattern we're talking about now, anything other than a slug, is that you're going to get 1 inch of spread on your pattern per yard away from the muzzle. All right, so you have to know that in very close quarters inside your house, you're likely at 5 yards or less. Your pattern is only going to be about 5 inches. So 5 inches, we're talking not even as big around as a football if you're looking at it from the end. All right, so pretty much about the size of a softball. Is it going to give you a little bit of help? Yes. Is it going to give you a ton of help like you think you see in the movies? Absolutely not. Okay, so we got our not so cools out of the way. Now we'll get to our cools. All right. First and foremost with the shotgun, the thing anyone that has experience will tell you is shotguns are versatile, very versatile. Be it from the kinds of ammo they can carry. You can carry slugs, you can carry sabot slugs, multiple different kinds of buckshot, birdshot. So just from the ammo, they're very versatile. You can even have non-lethal rounds, and include things, like flechettes, which are a little bit exotic. But the shotgun is also versatile in just the types of missions that it is capable for. Living in rural Iowa, shotguns are everywhere, and every single year you see advertisements for Mossberg 500 or Remington 870, combo packs where it comes with a 26 or 28 inch bird barrel and usually a 16 inch or a 20 inch rifled slug barrel for about $300. So for $300, which is probably about 1/4 or 1/5 of the price of a decent AR, you can get a shotgun that you can take hunting for multiple different animals, but you can also use relatively well in some home defense scenarios. So it's very versatile in that mission. Now, it's also versatile in the fact that within certain missions for home defense, it gives you a few more capabilities. So one, is it usable inside of a house? Yes, but it's not very easy to manipulate, as we talked about. But especially places that are rural like here, where just defense within the home is not always the case. We have a lot more scenarios that people run into, whether they have cattle and they're protecting from predatory animals and things like that, poachers, trespassers. But in Iowa especially, meth labs. Frickin' meth labs are everywhere. People, especially farmers, have to leave their anhydrous tanks around, and people are always out screwing with that. If you've ever gone fishing out in some weird farm ponds out in the hills, there's a pretty good chance you've ran into some shady characters and seen some weird stuff going on out there. So it gives you the chance to be able to deal with multiple threats because it does give you the advantage of range. So the versatility, kind of the last point with that, is that at very close range, the shotgun hits extremely hard, whether we're talking slug or buckshot rounds. Now, that kind of goes along with the recoil. That for every law about action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So it hits you hard on the shoulder, which means it hits hard on the target. So now, as that distance increases out to about 50 or 60 yards, which is where buckshot is no longer very effective, you get that increased ability to hit your target by having multiple pellets. So you don't have to be quite as accurate. I don't like to use that phrase, but not every single round has to be on target, and you're going to get a little bit of help from that pattern. Okay, so in addition to versatility, we talk about convenience. And these things are tied together, as most of our things are. Convenience, like I said, you can buy shotguns everywhere here, and you can buy parts for shotguns everywhere here in the Midwest, in Iowa, but especially, a lot of other states. As far as being able to go and buy the combo shotguns, with the bird barrel and the slug barrel, like I said. But also you can go to the gas station and you can buy parts for 870s and Mossberg 500s around here. You can find ammo at every single gas station and convenience store in Iowa. That's just a guarantee. So not only does that mean you have ammo readily available for home defense, but it means it's easier to acquire ammo. That way you can go out and shoot and go out and train. And so people are generally going to have a little bit more experience shooting the shotgun. The 22 might be the other thing that people are most experienced with around here. But it's very easy to find. They're very cheap. A good shotgun is going to only run you a couple $100, whereas a good AR, good AK, you're looking more into the $1,000+ range, whereas $300 to $400 gets you a shotgun that is extremely capable as far as a home defense shotgun goes, and that's going to be typically Mossberg 500, Remington 870 are the ones that I suggest because they're so easy to find parts for around here, and because they're affordable and they're very robust. That's not to put down any of the other brands of shotguns that are out there, especially the Benellis and the Franchis and things like that, but they're a lot more expensive, and they're not very easy to find parts for compared to those other two. All right, and that kind of leads us into the last one here with experience, just meaning that culturally, in rural areas where we do hunt with shotguns, we grow up target shooting with shotguns and things like that, people have generally had a chance to use a shotgun quite a bit, and so they're much better with the shotgun than they would be with an AK or an AR the first time you gave them with it, because the controls are going to be similar. They're used to operating, especially a pump shotgun and things like that. The safety location is something they're pretty used to, and just being around shotguns is not a culture shock, whereas it's getting better now, but still very much, I have friends of mine, we're around their families, and we take some of our fighting carbines and things out there, and you get a little bit of a shocked look from them. They see red dots and they see suppressors and all that stuff, and they don't really know what to think of all that. All right, so kind of tying all this stuff together, the shotgun has some pros and cons, some cools and some not so cools. As a whole, I do not suggest most people rely on a shotgun for home defense, especially if you live in an apartment or a housing complex or in the city where home defense for you literally means home defense. They're unwieldy, they're big, they have a nasty recoil, they're extremely difficult to use in small confines. I don't care who you are, how experienced you are, that's just a fact of life. Like we said in the last video, every weapon is a compromise, and for the shotgun's versatility and power, you get the trade-offs of the fact that it is very long and it's difficult to maneuver in close spaces.